Hey, Rob here, and welcome to the Saturday Grove. I do hope you're well. Hey, Rob here. So, I'm going to invite you to step into the secret world of a magician. So, I'm going to invite you to step into the world. So, I'm going to invite you to step into the secret world of a magician. Come this way. Hey, Rob here, and welcome to Saturday Grove. This is that time in the week where I just have a thought, have an idea, and talk about it and share it with you. I am thinking of doing these live, but for now I'm pre-recording. No scripts, no nothing. Anyway, I was driving back yesterday from a place I go to, some woodlands where there's a beautiful oak tree that I like to sit in, and it kind of holds you, it cradles you, and you can sit there and meditate. It's a beautiful space. Um, and I was driving back, and I was thinking about my life, my journey with the spiritual and with the magical, and where I'm at now. And I can honestly say, looking back, this is not where I expected to be. However, it is magic that's brought me to this place. So, where is that place? Well, right now, I've it's been a mad journey, but I've written books. I've spent 20 years self-employed as a performer. I'm now employed as a musician, teaching kids how to play in bands, which is amazing fun. It's all about the confidence and build them up. But I think back, I was thinking about like when I first got into this stuff. Now, I don't know if everyone's the same that watches this, but this is an interest and a journey that started quite young. If you can pinpoint the year Ghostbusters, the original movie came out, I think it was about then. And from that, it tweaked interests that led to me diving into the local library, to me looking at books and then getting books on witchcraft and magic. And then they opened a new library by us. And fortunately, they had some great books in, like the Abramelin and A. Waite's Ceremonial Magic. I was taking those out from the library at about the age 11 and 12, so quite young, and books on psychology and hypnosis and all sorts. So when I think back to the early days, one of the things, uh, and I think a lot of people quite often approach the occult and magic because they feel disempowered, like life's out of control. And I mean, the danger is there that if you're working magically and that's how you see the world, you're just going to amplify that. But that wasn't where I was at that age. I had this interest, these things interested me. And I remember the day, I remember the exact day, and I think I've shared this in the past, the exact day when I decided to dedicate myself to exploring the mysteries, to exploring magic. And again, I'm going to say between 11 and 13. Let's just go 12 because it's in the middle. Um, I was sat at home watching a movie. I wish I could remember which one it was, but I really don't. And there was a scene where the hero in the story has he's in a teepee, and he's there with the medicine man, the shaman, and he's there to get knowledge, wisdom, understanding, insight that obviously helps him transform and become the person he needs to be to get to the end of the film. And I remember the shaman talked to him and was then started rattling and banging drums or whatever he was doing and chanting. And as he did, they were sat around this fire, it's night time, the wind stirred. And there was something in that moment where the medicine man, the shaman, appeared to be calling the winds. I remember young me going, I want to be able to do that. Whatever that is, I want to be able to I want that. Um, and so that's really where it started. And as a kid, you kind of you get into the like I guess the glamours of it, the oh I can do spells and make life better for me. And then as you get older and read more and discover more, you start to realize that that's just like not really what the real journey of magic's about. Um, so for a young me, it was very much a case of, and this is with an adult brain looking back, I think it was about that connection to the mystery, to be part of that mystery, which I now know and realize you can't not be, like we can't not be part of nature. Um, but the undercurrent has always been that search for hidden knowledge, for wisdom, for being and entering into those liminal spaces. And I mean, heck, I've it's opened up so many journeys, and I've met some amazing, amazing people along the way through it. Um, Adventures. I was at 18. I was invited to train up to. There'd been a coven working in the area that I lived in at the time, who somehow or other, by possible magical means, I ended up meeting people, connected with, and then getting invited along to speak with the high priestess, and sh her and her partner at the time were moving out of the area, and they wanted to leave. There hadn't been a group running actively for a few years. They wanted to leave a group behind when they moved as a bit of a legacy for the area. And so I was fortunate that I was asked, because my partner had been part of their original coven, um, I was asked, as I said, it was quite magical. How we met was on a hillside, having done sweat lodges and ritual. Not bad at 18. It was good, especially back then, because that stuff was harder to get to and plug into then. Um, when are we talking? Oh my God, when are we talking? Um, I don't know. 1994, 94, 95, around then. Um, and back then, you really still had to seek these things out. It wasn't like now where you just Google it and find out where it is. You had to go look for it. And so I was asked if I would be willing to dedicate myself to 2 years of intensive study to get to the point where I could support my partner in running this coven when the high priest and high priestess left, um, which was an amazing 2 years of my life, an amazing journey to go on. Um, I then along the way, and I know I've spoken this before, I got a bit disillusioned with groups and people I'd put on pedestals. It's very easy when you're younger, and if you're a younger person watching this, beware of the pedestal. We look at people and go, wow, look at that person. They're so glamorous, so wise, so whatever, so magical. And we put them up here. And we're all human. We're all human. We all have our vices. We all have the things that we mess up. Remember, even though that respect that person's knowledge, journey, and wisdom, don't put them up here. Respect them as an equal because you also have your own journey, which they've never had. So even though you might only be 18, 19, 20 listening to this, you have 18, 19, 20 years of a life that person's never lived. So you have your own wisdom to share equally. Um, So yeah, so I kind of diverted off. I found a vicar, in fact, who was extremely supportive and almost sent me on a silent retreat to debate whether I wanted to go and become a priest, which is something I have explored a couple of times throughout my journey. Uh, he lent me some really cool books, which made me go. One made me say, "Why aren't you teaching this stuff?" Because they were really great books. Um, but also I didn't feel that, I'd stepped away from the church when I was very young. I don't remember it really much, but apparently I used to like going to church. That's what I'm told. Uh, so yeah, so I had this mentor in this guy, and our teachers aren't always the people we think. don't think because you're following a magical path or a pagan path or whatever that your teachers always have to be druids, pagans, witches. That's not true. Not true. The all teaches us, the one teaches us through all things, not just if you just focus on one area, you're limiting your experience and your wisdom potential. Um, so yeah, lots of stuff. Eventually, I decided that I didn't want to do the church thing. After it was a few months of really thinking about it and almost going on this retreat, and I decided that as I'd always loved music and poetry, I should really explore Druidry because I'd always expressed the way I saw the world through those things. Hate that. If that sounds like a pretentious artist thing, then I'm really sorry. It wasn't like, oh, this is my art. It was just those were the things I sung about. I was never precious. Um, and so I started my journey with Obod, and that was an amazing journey. First, I got into the training, then I met my tutor, my bardic tutor, who like that was a make or break moment, having been disillusioned with other people. And oh my life, I remember going down to see him. I was quite nervous, and it was like, if this guy reminds me of people I've known in the past, I probably would have stopped that there and then and ended up going back and seeing the Vicar David and saying maybe I should look into this. Um, However, I still picture it down in Cornwall, knocked on the door, Barry's front door, and the druid, noble druid, Barry, opens the door. Except this guy looked every bit like you'd expect a druid to look. Long white ponytailed hair, big white beard, big friendly smile. And I met him and Kate, beautiful, two of the most beautiful, lovely, supporting people, and they turned my life around. I spent an evening with them that changed the direction of my life, and that's what happens when we meet magical people. Truly magical people do not make us feel drained. They do not take from us. A truly magical person, when you encounter them, will lift you, inspire you, make you feel like you can achieve things you never dreamt you could achieve before. And that's one of the gifts of magic. It allows us to go beyond our limitations because those limitations are just the reality we're painting, and magic teaches us how to strip that reality and get back to the truth of who we are. So so yeah, so that changed my life. That changed my career. It changed my job. Changed everything. I later went on to run retreats and do the rituals and workshops for OBOD for the gatherings in Glastonbury. Got invited abroad to go and run stuff. It was an amazing time. Started up in here, up in Shropshire. It's no use saying here, is it? You don't know where I am. In Shropshire, started running some local Druid-based events, and they became massive. We had a moot where people travelled for like miles to come to it. We had about 50 people turn up at the one, which was ludicrous. Uh, the retreats, the camps, public rituals. It was an amazing time. Amazing, amazing time. And it's very easy when we have these amazing times to kind of go, oh, I wish they'd never end. But change is inevitable and things will change. And it's better to know that you've had those times and let go. Philip Cargon once said to me when I was struggling with some group stuff, um, hold on tightly, let go lightly. You don't have to hold on to these things. They run their course, and sometimes the best go now. REM did this brilliantly. REM did this brilliantly. They got to a point that went, we're not going to do any more. We've done what we came to do. We've put out some great music. We've had the great time. Now we're stopping. We're still going to do our own things, but REM is stopping. And I have so much respect because not only did they do that, they've never well, not yet. You watch next week, they'll probably announce it. Um, but they've never reformed. They've never put the band back together and gone back out like so many that said they were retiring did. And I respect that because they held on to that tightly whilst it was there and alive and working. And then when it was ready, they knew they let go. Brilliant. Hold on tightly, let go lightly. Wonderful bit of advice. So there's been lots and lots of weird and wonderful times, retreats, workshops. I was at an esoteric book club having doing a talk and talking to people the other day, uh, and we were chatting about a book and then talking about different experiences. And I was talking about the bull's hide trance, which is the traditional bull's hide trance is a druidic thing where they used to kill a bull, eat it, make a broth out of its innards eat it like gluttonous eating, and then wrap themselves up in the tra in the hide, and then they'd have a stone placed on them, and then they would journey and bring back visions from the other world. Bit dramatic, really, and tough luck if you're a bull, innit? Um, not one for the vegans. However, you can do it with blankets and artificial throws if you want. And we did it. We ran it for the grove that I was running at the time, down in some fields by where I was living near a river. And picture this: there's the river, beautiful day, and there's two people wrapped up cocoon-like, looking basically like bodies, um, waiting to be disposed of. And then there's about a dozen people sat around chanting and banging drums. And this is all going on. These guys are having their journey and their experience. And look over my shoulder, and across the couple of fields by the roadside, a police car has pulled up. And I can't have those police people come over because that would not be good, disturbing the people wrapped up in blankets. But I'm also consciously aware that to the police over there, these two people might look like dead bodies about to be dumped in a river. You see the predicament. So I had to go over to them, and they were like, "Oh, hi, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, we're just a meditation group. We're just doing it's a lovely day. Thought we'd come and do some stuff down by the river." Right, right. So, well, have you seen anyone with a gun? I've never been more pleased to hear that there might be an armed lunatic walking around the place, because it meant they weren't interested in us. So I explained, I said, no, not seen anything. If I did, I'd let them know. And so that was that. It was all good. So what actually changed my life when I think about it? All through this, there is magic. I think I've said already, there's that one period of time where I met my bardic tutor. That was amazing. That wasn't robes, that wasn't ritual. That was conversation with somebody who opened up my world and lifted me. The other times where I've changed, when I got to I got, wow, yeah. So I spent 10 years studying and working through the Obod Druidry course. I mean, you can do it quicker, but there's so many off tangents you can go off on. And there's still, if I went back now, there would still be areas I could go and explore or revisit. But I got to the end of it. And like, you can't see what I can see, but basically, I'm a bit of a book addict. It's like books, 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 books down that side, books, books, books down that side. There's books next door. There's books. You get it, especially if you're a book person. Um, so I got to the end of the Druid grade, and I woke up one morning and I went downstairs and I looked at my book collection then, and I realized none of that was necessary. None of it. None of it was needed, because all those books were somebody else's viewpoint of their experience, which is useful. But the magical journey is your journey. That path of spirituality, wisdom, and magic is your transformation. And if you're treading that path and it's not changing you and transforming your life, then something's not right. Something's not right. Um, so I got rid of every single book. I literally gave away thousands of pounds worth of magical books because I didn't need them. Because everything you need to live a magical life is there within you already. Comes from dedication. It comes from expanding and growing awareness. It comes from your relationship with life. That medicine man, that shaman in the teepee, when the winds blew, that was about that relationship to life and the mysteries. not about him having power over things. And I think, especially when we're younger, we think magic about having power over things. And one thing that's always, and I even remember having some quite interesting discussions with people that maybe I should have. No, take the shit out of it. I didn't agree with them. Doesn't matter who they were. Um, about things like robes, as time went by, there was no, the deeper I got into the mysteries, the deeper I got into magic, the less I needed to show it. In the same way as I didn't need the book, I don't need to wear the robes. I remember um, I got invited, sadly, it never got aired, but I got asked to go down to London to meet Mickey Flanagan. A few years back, he did a TV program exploring Christmas, visiting how different people celebrate Christmas. And I got asked to go down there as a druid, and we did a day's filming, me and Mickey. Uh, and I refused. And I think this is probably why they didn't show it. Partly was the fact that they were like, "Oh, well, we come down. What we're going to do? We've got this site. There's a stone circle that's been built in a park, and Mickey's going to come walking up, and you can be there in your robes." And I went, "Sorry." He's like, "You can be there in your robes." I'm like, "Well, why?" Uh, he said, "Well, because you're a druid." And I'm like, "Yeah, I am, but I'm not." I'm not like a sideshow thing. If I was the Archbishop of Canterbury or the Pope and Mickey was going to meet me in a park, you wouldn't ask me to turn up in all my ritual regalia, would you? Because in all fairness, that clothing is for specific times and specific purposes. It's a good thing they didn't ask me to turn up as a Wiccan because we always used to work skyclad. And me meeting Mickey Flanagan in a park skyclad would probably create some sort of press headline. But one of the things that he found fascinating was the fact that I was dressed normal. I'd put a shirt on, like a proper like shirt, not a tie, but proper shirt. And I looked, well, like he said, I looked more like a lawyer um, than what he thought a druid would be. But it's like, what is a druid? What is a magician? At the moment online, there's a huge sprawl of magical things, and it's all about the image. Image is the glamour, it's the illusion. There is no substance to image. It might feel good, it might be alternative, it's a way of escaping the everyday fact that you're still working at McDonald's. But yeah, you know, you don't the changes that magic have brought me. So magic in my head, I saw myself getting old, being this robed, wizardy like figure, all kind of bang, and the elements explode. Reality is this. This is crazy how that has changed. Not what I expected, not what I thought it'd be. But then the real challenge of the magical and spiritual is not to escape, it's to integrate. As above, so below. Integrate that which is above us into that which is below us, and that which below it is up into what is above. Heaven and earth meet within this, within here. Wow. Yeah, that's it. Oneness. The path of magic leads to oneness, unity. Guess what? Every other spiritual tradition and religion, if you follow it correctly and properly, will bring you to that place, just different paths. We're not separate. We're not, the divine is not separate from us. We are not separate from nature. We are a part of the overall mystery and you cannot escape it. I worked 20 years as a close-up magician, and that I never expected. I've been very blessed. Magic is about living your true purpose and your true will, and there were several jobs that I wanted to do as a kid, and I've done every one of them. I've actually done every one of them. And and I remember chatting to someone the other day and I go, well, yes, you've done them, but you've not spent your life doing them. When it comes to performance magic, see if there's something I can use. That's how you know it's not rehearsed. Come to rehearse performance magic. I don't even know if you're going to be able to see this. Let me just see if we can make this happen. Okay. So when we come to performance magic, if I take something like a stone and slowly dissolve it into nothing, that's magic. Well, a form of magic. It's an art form giving you the impression of magic. So I do that once. To you, it's like, if I do it again and again and again and again, it becomes every day, it becomes mundane. And oh, my life, that works on so many levels. Firstly, I've been a musician, professional musician, and that's what I'm doing again now. I'm a qualified hypnotherapist, an NLP coach, a trained counselor. I've been a close-up magician for 20 years. I've run a pub. These are all things I wanted to do. And by allowing life to take you where it takes you, by allowing magic into your life, not controlling, ha! Don't ever try and control it because it won't quite work how you planned. People, oh, you didn't do, you've not done that job all your life. Well, that's because after a while, it wasn't what I wanted to do. And don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here like Mr. Rich Boy who's got like a huge bank account. Um, that can afford to just please and do whatever he wants. But take the life of Crowley. I saw a comment on a post about Crowley. It was, oh yeah, he did all this teaching about living your true will, but look at his life. Yeah, Crowley did with his life what Crowley wanted to do with his life. Might not have always gone quite how he planned, but he did. He lived what he was about. And I think when we allow magic to be ordinary, that's when it becomes more magical. That's when we start noticing we're living more our true, authentic selves and our true lives. But again, that repetition, all the rituals, all the initiations of people that have done over the years, and there's been some absolutely beautiful and amazing moments. All of that becomes ordinary. Then you realize you don't need all the rituals. You don't need any of that. Franz Barden in his can't think of the name of it. His book on hermetics, Initiation into Hermetics, whatever. I was only looking at it the other day. I went out last night, so the brain's a bit foggy, bear with. Um, we're talking armchair stuff. You don't need all the pomp and ceremony. It can help, but actually what you want to be doing is, I remember one of my teachers saying, to work magic, there are just a few skills. You need to be able to concentrate and focus. You need to be able to meditate. You need to be able to visualize. I'm going to add something there because there'll be people going, well, I can't. I keep trying to visualize. Visualize isn't like I can see the images. Visualize is thinking about it however you think about it. Okay, so let me illustrate that. It's a slight digression, but it just popped into my head. If I ask you to picture an apple, think of an apple. Some of you will have got an image of an apple in your head. You can see it. You'll be able to tell me what color it is. It's there. You can look at it. Others of you will go, well, I know what an apple looks like. And if I asked you what color it was, you'd go, oh, I think it would be a red one, or I think it'd be a green one. You might not see that as an image, but to know what I'm talking about, your brain is picturing that, even if you're not consciously aware of that. So you cannot not visualize because otherwise language stops working. Think about when we learn to speak, CAT and read CAT, cat. And how do you learn it? They put a picture of a cat next to it. So your brain goes, cat, picture of cat, 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 cat. And you repeat it so many times that in here, your brain now knows that the word CAT spell cat, which bangs the image up of a cat, so you know what the word means. You might not consciously see that cat. I don't. but you know what the hell it is. Um, so if you've been worrying in your practices about visualization, stop. Just think about it intently, however you do that. I mean, you might just imagine, you might think it, you might picture it, you might just trust that however, as long as you're doing the focus and you're focusing just on that thing, however you do about it, however you think about it, that's what you do. Anyway, digress. Um, so yeah, so you know, I digress so much, I really thrown myself. I have a few notes. A prompt is all I need. Where is it? Oh, okay. Some of these, by the way, some of this is being based on things that people have asked me, and but rather than going, you've asked me this question, I've wove it into what I wanted to talk about. Um, so yeah, it's been a magical life, but the moments of real magic haven't involved ritual, haven't involved anything else. One of the magical path should open your life up. It should allow you to go and achieve things you never thought possible. That's real magic. Make things happen in your life. And for I think it's at least 10 years now that I've been a hypnotist and hypnotherapist and coach and NLP practitioner. Um, those moments of true transformation in people are magical. And for me, because I can only speak for me, those moments where people go from I can't to I can, something you never thought was going to be possible is now happening. Those moments, when they are real moments of magic, when you listen to them, when I listen to them, will make me cry tears of joy. The beauty in that human transformation, that human growth, because at the end of the day, the magical journey is stripping away all that's false and letting us grow into our awareness of our true selves. You know, holy guardian angel, conversation with our true will, who you're about. Even Cole Rogers in the 50s was writing about this stuff as a counseling teacher, therapist, psychologist person. I'm just sorry, Cole. That's he's not alive anymore, by the way, if you've never heard of him. But some of his views and ideas are beautiful. Um, but he was saying, we should be living as our authentic selves. And that, when we're not, that's where our stresses, anxieties, and issues come from. Duh, it's all the same. It's all the same. Use the tools that get you there. But don't make your magic therapy. It's Gareth Knight in A Practical Guide to Kabbalistic Symbolism in the back, last chapter, I think, says about how people that come into magic should be balanced, healthy, and something else. Can't remember what the something else is. And magic should make them more balanced, more healthy, more stable. That's it. Don't use magic as therapy. Magic amplifies whatever's going on in your life. So if you've got lots of stress and anxiety and you're working magic, unless you're being really damn careful, you're going to amplify that ridiculously. Yeah. If you're suffering depression and you're working magic, you're going to amplify your depression. First magical groups I ever came in would not let people in if they were going through any sort of mental health issues at the time. Not disrespectfully, but because they had the sensibility and responsibility to look after those people. So they'd be like, sort your stuff, get on top of your stuff, then you can come join us. But it would not help you on your in your psyche and in your mind to be working magically whilst you're in that headspace. Health and safety. Magicians were doing health and safety before the world went mad on it. And yet somehow we're seeming to forget this now, and everywhere it's like, oh, you can do this even if it no, be careful. Um, yeah. So real magic happens. It's those moments of achievement where people face the odds and that it sounds ordinary, but that is where real magic, that's where it lies. The secret life of a magician is surprisingly ordinary, and it should be. Because if it's not, and all you're doing is creating the glamour and the illusion of magic all the time, It's going to become ordinary anyway. I mean, people look at my life. I look at my life, go, guys, this has not been. I'm talking about it ordinary. But when I was young, the struggle was like, oh, I want to be this magical spiritual person, and I can't because I've got to deal with all that crap, the day-to-day stuff. Now I realize that it's within the day-to-day crap and struggles where real magic lies. It's in that cup of tea at the end of the day that I'm British. It's got to be tea. Um, that brew. It's in that brew when a friend comes round in trouble and you make them a brew and you hand it over and they take that sip and they go, the magic has started. It's in our work. It's how we approach our work. My partner, she's just taken on, having never managed a shop in her life, the managing of a shop. It's a charity shop. And she's approaching it from a magical perspective. It's every day, it's ordinary, but the place has been cleansed. The place is, she talks to the spirit of the place. Weirdly, when they need a thing, it appears. Kind of like magic, but it's just her job. But your magic shouldn't be getting you to dress up, paint your face up, and make videos looking like whatever. Your magic should be getting you into your job and helping you be the best at that job and allowing for people to go, how'd you get those results you get? Oh, kind of magic, I guess. It should be in your relationships. If you're saying you're a magical practitioner and your relationships are a crock of shite and toxic, got work to do. You got work to do. But that ain't magic. The magic then is the glamour that's taking you away from the shitty relationships. You know, it should be there in everything you do. If you have hobbies, if you create stuff, creating things, art is an act of magic. Your path should be the trials and your teachers and your guides should be the things that the universe presents to you to overcome. That's where the lessons lie. I've seemed to have got a bit like soapboxy and passionate about this. I apologize if I'm seeming a bit militant. I don't really. I'm not apologizing. Um, I'm just sharing my experience, and this is mine. It could be completely different for you, and that's a wonderful thing. That's a beautiful thing. I'm just sharing how I've seen it grow and develop on my journey. Um, but it is in your hobbies, but magic is also there in your mistakes. If you keep repeating a mistake, that means you've got a pattern. If you've got a pattern, you have to ask why. Why do I keep repeating that? And you keep asking that until there is no why left, and whatever answer's left will be the pattern. And then you can go, what is that pattern teaching me? You can do that in ritual. You can do some magic for it if you want. But all that's doing is the same process in your head. Never has the mundane felt more magical. Never. If you're living the fantasy magic, but that's not, and then you go, oh yeah, but then I have to go and do the day job. You're not living the magic fully. You're living the illusion and the glamour bit. Real magic challenges. Real magic hurts. It leaves you crying in a stone circle on a Thursday night on mushrooms because your whole relationships and everything in life just went. Because initiation does that. Oh my God, I remember journeying through the OBOD initiation at grades, and you get the ovate level, and it changes people's lives. And we think change, oh, lovely change. Yeah, but sometimes change comes with a whole pile of shit as well, because you got to get rid of the old to get in the new. And if you're not in the right place and you're working magic for something, it will put you in the right place. I found that out. One minute I was married, the next minute I'm not. Never asked for truth, never asked for reality. unless you're willing to face the consequence. Would I change any of it? No. No. Oh, my life, no. It has been deeply amazing. And like I say, the further in, the less I worry about looking magical. It's nice to keep a little something, you know? A few bracelety things. They're not anything special. I think I paid a quid from them from a festival each. You know what I mean? £1. Um, your magic shouldn't be about performance. It should about the deep knowing that every aspect of your life is magical. It's about living more authentically. If you're living an image, you're not living authentically. Your ego will go, yes, I am. That's who I am. Might be an exaggeration, but true magic has substance. True magic embeds us in our lives. It makes us deal with and face the things out there because you do initiation. I'm going to go back on initiation. Initiation is an outward metaphor. It's a symbolic representation of your dedication, your giving over to, your surrender to, your ritual death and rebirth. And you might be a bit nervous before your initiation, and you get through your initiation. Don't worry about the initiation, worry about what follows, because the real initiation is when the universe starts sending everything your way that you need to experience that meets that dedication. Enough to drive people mad, and it has done. Also, never, whilst on mushrooms, ask. That's, I'm thinking one of the questions I had that was in my head that somebody asked was, if I've learned one thing after all these years, what what is it about? What is it? You are a deeply magical spiritual being. We are deeply magical spiritual beings. But the glamours and the world we live in more and more distracts us from that nature. It really does. One thing, that's one of them. There's more than one thing. Never, whilst doing ritual with the influence of mushrooms, ask to understand the madness of Merlin. I'm not going into that one. You know the story where he goes mad in the forest after the Battle of Aldereth. Yeah. Don't ask to know that unless you really don't ask to know anything unless you're really prepared to know what that means fully. Um, but magic isn't about escaping life. Magic is about becoming completely, authentically, fully alive within it. And by it, I mean the one, because that truly is all there is. And remember not to take yourself too seriously. If you're playing the magical game and you take yourself too seriously, there's the universe has one wicked, twisted sense of humor. There is a slap in the face coming at least once. So that's my thing. Anyway, I'm going to stop there because I've run out of train of consciousness and thought. Time's are ticking, and I don't want to take any more time of your day, but I hope you've enjoyed this. I've been Rob Chapman. This has been the Saturday Grove. Do remember to like, subscribe, comment. I really like when people comment. It's nice. Someone asked the other day for me to explain one of the shorts a little bit more, you know. Quite happily, quite happily. Anyway, much love, many blessings, and I look forward to sharing with you on the next Saturday Grove. And if you're thinking you might like these to be live occasionally, or maybe once a week, life gets in the way. So let's say occasionally, at least once a month, say, let me know. Drop a, yeah, we'd love this to be live. We'll find out how you can ask questions and things, and we can explore things together. Oh, wow. That's ace. Anyway, again, much love, many blessings. Take care. Bye.